Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be building a small website for a local business. Now, the way we're going to do that is we're going to use 2, possibly 3 tools, depending on how sort of time goes. The first one we're going to use is ChatGPT, which is, for those that aren't aware and been sort of living in a cave recently, ChatGPT is one of the most popular AI tools that there are. When we're talking about AI tools, really what we're saying is, so AI, what is AI, I suppose? So AI is simply, think of AI as a digital assistant. It's the most uber knowledgeable assistant you could possibly have, and you can ask it pretty much anything and it will give you really detailed, in-depth answers. And the way it does that is because it actually has access to the internet. It takes everything that's on the internet and takes all the good stuff, all of the different ways of doing things and everything that's on the internet, and condenses it into giving you a really educated answer. And that's really what AI is. So you're basically your digital assistant. Now we're going to use ChatGPT to start. Now the other tool we're going to use is Bolt, and we've got on the screen here, as you can see, we've got Bolt.new loaded. Now this is actually a paid account. Now in terms of sort of pricing, if I just click on to the pricing side of things here, there's different levels of pricing. You've got either a free version. Now it's important to note that one of the drawbacks with the free version is that you only have a limited number of tokens. Now, what are tokens? Tokens are the things that you use to build whatever it is you're looking to build, be it a website, be it an app, whatever it is. So you have a limit of 300k tokens, as you can sort of see here. It says it's 300k limit and 1 million tokens a month. Now 1 million tokens is actually quite a lot, and you can do a lot with 1 million tokens. But the restriction of having a 300k token daily limit is quite restricting. Now you can do certain things, and we could in fact stand up a small website just using that, but we won't be able to tweak it and do a lot with it. It will simply be a first shot pass at the website being built. So now I'm currently on the $25 a month plan, which for me is actually more than enough. Now what it does, that actually gives you 10 million tokens a month, which is enough for what I do. Sometimes I do add a little bit more when I'm doing a lot of different work. And as you can see down the side here, so this is obviously the layout. If I go back to just to the sort of the home page, as it were, and give you a bit of a layout. So in here, this is what you use, this area here, this is what you use to type in whatever it is you want to create. And the good thing with Bolt and with a lot of these AI tools, there are a load of others out there. Things like Lovable is another one, Replit is another one. And they're all available and they all do similar things, but do slightly different things better than each other. But when you get onto your screen here, you can literally just type something into here and say, you know, let's build a website for my local business, which is a pet shop. And you can literally type that out, click build now, and it will go away and will build that website. Now, I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to use up all the sort of tokens. But what you can see down here is over on the left hand side, if you go down to the bottom left and then you sort of hover over your little icon, it will then show you a lot of the different things that you built previously. Now, as you can see, I've built lots and lots of different things in here. I'm obviously an avid user of this, and in fact use it for some of the business work that I do. So, you know, you don't need to worry about that, but it just gives you an idea of I've used it quite intensively. So got quite a lot of experience. But the purpose of this video really is to show how pretty much anybody can build a website for themselves, for their local business, for your hobby, whatever it is. So we're going to go through that step by step, make it as easy to understand as possible, because it is actually relatively easy. You simply talk to Bolt and it will tell you what to do, or you ask it what to do, tell it what you want, and we're going to go through that sort of step by step. So before we get to that though, we're going to go and use ChatGPT, as I sort of said sort of at the start. Now if you just type in ChatGPT, you can literally hit enter and then it'll ask you what can I help with. So what I'm going to do, and now what I've got here is actually, you can see down the bottom left, it's actually a free account. So it doesn't cost anything. You can literally just register with your email and it gives you a free account. Now in here, what we're going to do, we're going to ask it just to help in terms of sort of choosing the type of local business, which is what we're going to build for. So I'm going to say, give me 10 local businesses that I can, no, in fact, I'll just say, give me 10 local businesses. So it's given me 10. We've got a neighbourhood coffee shop, family-owned bakery, local hardware store, independent bookstore, auto repair shop, a boutique clothing store, at-home cleaning service, a landscaping and lawn care service. There's a whole list. There's 1 to 10 there. So if we now go to Google, so I'll just open up a new tab. This is my Google Chrome browser that we're doing this on, and I'm going to say if you just type in number generator, it comes up with this, and it's automatically populated 1 as the minimum, 10 as the maximum. So obviously I've got 10 ideas, so we're just going to randomly pick one of these 10 ideas, just so you can see that it's not just me pre-planning this. This is making it really easy. So if I click on generate, it will come up with a fresh number on there. So it's given me number 6. So if I go back to here, so a boutique clothing store. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight that and click copy. We're then going to go into Bolt itself, and I'm going to say, build me a website for my local business, which is and then I'm just going to paste in there, which is a boutique clothing store. Now, I'll be honest, a boutique clothing store would not be my first choice of business that I would run, but it just goes to show that you can do it for anything. This will just show that, you know, anybody can build anything almost using these tools. So once I've put that in there, I'm also going to just add, ask me any questions before starting. Now the reason I do that is that when you're typing in requests into any AI tool, you want it to be a little bit more specific for your own business or for your own hobby or for whatever it is. And sometimes it's good to give it a bit more context as to what it's going to build for you. And it's a really useful thing to do. So I'm going to click on build now. And then what you can see here, it goes away and it starts having a bit of a think about what it's going to do. And I suppose it's at this point, it might be just worth sort of saying that you could, in effect, you can get a website built literally in like under 5 minutes. But it won't be exactly what you want to begin with, and you'll need to spend a little bit of time sort of tweaking it and doing it, and we're going to do that as we go here, as we sort of build this out and make it a little bit more of a sort of professional looking, and so it contains information that we want to sort of show on our local boutique store. Maybe I should have changed it and done it for, I don't know, a local hoodie or baseball cap store or something. I don't know. Might have been more appropriate for me. But what you can see here, so what it's done, it's gone away, it's had a thought, and it says, right, I'd be happy to help you build a website for your boutique clothing store. Let me ask you a few questions to make sure I create exactly what you need. Okay, so what's the store name? What's the name of your boutique? So what we'll do in response to all of these questions, we'll just type in below the answers to those questions. There's only 7. So what we're going to call it, we're going to call it the name of the boutique store. We'll call it, I'll tell you what, let's go to ChatGPT and ask it to give us some ideas for a boutique store. So if I type in the bottom, give me some cool names for a local boutique store. So we've got quite a few in there. Minimal and modern, let's put Slate and Silk, Aura Collective, we've got loads here. Artsy, not really my sort of cup of tea maybe. Chic and trendy, maybe not. Narrow Noble Aura. Slate and Silk, no. Urban Willow, should we go with Urban Willow? Okay, let's call it Urban Willow. We'll just sort of see. No, that doesn't really fit with the branding I'm sort of looking for. I want it to be cool and slick and modern, and yeah. So let's go for. I tell you what, let's go with Urban Willow. It's as good a name as anything. So we'll use that, and we'll just type into the bottom. We'll just put, if we just put a 1 and then Urban Willow, that's the name. Now, when you hit return on after you've entered something, if you hit just return, it will put that into the chat, and will then go away and do whatever you've asked it to do, or based on the information you've given it, it will go away and do something. But if you hit the shift key and hit return, it then goes down to a new line. I can then put in the answer to the next question, which is brand style. How would you describe your boutique's aesthetic? So I'm going to go with cool, ultra modern, what do we want, minimalist, but with colourful accents. Okay, so next question is key features. What functionality do you need on the website? So it's saying, do you want display clothing items, online shopping with cart and checkout, just show products without purchasing, store location and hours, contact form. Now, because this is a local business, a local store that we're going to be building this for, we want ultimately we want footfall going through the door, because we're paying a lot of money for our shop. We're paying a lot high lease costs for our store, particularly if you're in the UK. You know, the costs for leasing and renting premises in the UK is extortionate. So we want as many people going through the door, so we're getting some value out of the prices we're paying for our store. So I'm going to put in there, we want to generate footfall to our local store. That's the primary goal that we've got for our business, you know, because it makes sense. We're paying a lot of money for those premises, so let's generate footfall so we can generally sort of start to pay for our store, really. The next question, so we go down another line, and it says product categories. What types of clothing do you sell? So it says women's wear, men's wear, accessories, seasonal collections, etc. So for me, let's go for, we sell hoodies, t-shirts and baseball caps, because that's the sort of stuff that I tend to wear a lot of the time. So so let's go with that. Question 5. Colour preferences. Any specific colours that represent your brand? Okay, so I'm very much I do tend to sort of go with a lot of greys, blues, but with colourful accents on. I do sort of like I do like colour, but I don't go full out and wear really bright clothing. Occasionally I do, but I'm more of a subtle sort of colour. So I'm going to say subtle colours with bright hints is what I'm going to sort of say. I love blues, greys, black and white. Bulk and white. Okay. Now, question 6, content. Do you have any specific text, tagline or description you'd like to include about your boutique? Let's have ChatGPT come up with a new name. So give me some strap lines for my local boutique that sells t-shirts, hoodies and baseball caps. So hit return on that. So some punchy strap lines. It says, wear your story, comfort, style, repeat, made for everyday legends. We've got a whole heap of different ones here. Built for the bold. So they call gear up, stand out. Quite like that. Effortless style starts here. Fit, check, approved. Your new favourites found. Locally made. There's quite a few good ones here. You can all probably pick out one that would suit for yourself. I quite like the gear up, stand out. It has a lot of it's a lot in that. I think gear up, stand out. It's quite a snappy sort of strap line, and so I think we could use that, and that could work quite well. So let's just copy that. Go back to our builder. Gear up, stand out is our strap line. And authentication. Do you need customer accounts where people can log in, save favourites, track orders, etc.? No, we don't need that at the moment. We're not creating an e-commerce website or account for people. But what we do want, we want people to give them the ability to contact us if they've got any questions about our store. Now we could add in a form for people to fill out, or we could just add in contact details. So we'll work on that as we go. So we just want to have a way for people to contact us. A way for people to contact us. So we could use a form or something like that. So we'll go into that when we get more into the build. And that answers all the questions that it's asked me for. So I'm just going to hit return on that. And then we'll sort of, as it says on the screen, we'll sort of, see magic happen is what we're hopefully going to get. And it will be really interesting to see what it gives based on the information that I've given. And if you think about it, we haven't really used a lot of words. We've just used plain, simple English to enable this AI tool to in effect build a site for us. Now, as you can probably see on the screen, down the left-hand side, it tells us literally what it's doing. So at the moment, it's saying it's creating databases for contact form submissions. It's then going to go and build the main landing page with what it calls a hero section. And with a lot of websites, they all have lots of different sections. So there'll be a header, which will be in effect the piece across the top, which will typically have your name and logo plus a menu at the top, and we'll see that as we get in. May not even put a menu on for this one. Then has what it calls the hero section, which is the first part of the site that actually gives you an insight into what the site or what the business does for whoever visits the website. And it should really have a real cool, attractive sort of headline that attracts people to it and says what we do, this is how we help you. In effect, what's the problem we're going to help you with? And the problem typically in this case is somebody wants some cool clothes, so they want to go to a shop locally that's got those things. And it's still going, it's still thinking. Now, sort of back in the day, if ever you wanted to have a website built like this, you had to go to a website developer and they would spend a real long time building and creating a website using code and you would be paying really exorbitant amounts for this. You know, I think if you go back probably 20 years or so, you could be paying anywhere between £5,000 and £10,000 just for a fairly basic website to be built for you. And these days, there's a lot of other tools out there. There's things like Wix, for example, which is very much a templated sort of way of working. So you go to Wix, you pay a monthly fee for it typically, and it has templates and things, and you can do a lot with it. But ultimately, the more you add into it, the more the costs go up for using something like Wix. So if you want to introduce e-commerce and things like that, then it will definitely start to raise the cost. And what started out as maybe, I don't know what current Wix costs are, but $15 a month or whatever it is, all of a sudden goes from $15 a month to maybe $60 or $70 a month, which all of a sudden becomes a much bigger expense for your business. So it's actually finished now. So and again, it's given us a view. It says, right, your Urban Willow boutique website is ready. I've created a sleek, modern site with a minimalist design using blues, greys, black and white with vibrant accents. The website includes a striking hero section with your tagline, Gear Up, Stand Out. A product showcase featuring hoodies, t-shirts and baseball caps with hover effects. A contact section with your store location, hours, working contact form that saves messages to the database, and social media links in the footer. So if we go down and we actually sort of start to to look at this, if we sort of scroll up, you can see here that it's got a nice little sort of name for the store. It's got the Urban Willow. It's got our sub sort of headline or our strap line, Gear Up, Stand Out. It's got View Collection, and as we go over there, it hovers over it. It sort of highlights the button nicely, and if we click that, it then takes us down to another section, literally on the same page. So it literally takes us down to the next section and says Our Collection. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is that it's actually put in a thing around a pizza, which clearly is not, as it says there, a classic cap. So, there's some work to be done there in terms of it. And this is what is known as an hallucination when it comes to AI. It can sometimes put things in there which don't necessarily tie in with actually what it should be. So here, obviously, that pizza is clearly not a classic cap. So we'll need to go in and make some changes to sort of update that. But what it does show is that you can't 100% rely on AI to do everything exactly as you need it to do. It needs that human element. And I always think of using AI as 90% AI but 10% human, where you've got to check everything that's being done and read through it and make sure things are accurate, because if you don't do that, then typically, there will be things that sort of get missed. So we will go through and we'll make some changes to these sort of things. It says minimal T, and again, that's showing a robot. It's not showing a t-shirt. It's got hoodies. It's got some people in there, but it's not really that. And then again, baseball caps again, or street cap. So again, these things, you need to sort of tidy this up. And this is where a lot of the time will actually be spent. It's just sort of tidying these things up, but it's not difficult to do. So let's just go back to the top. What you'll see also is put down the bottom here a little bouncing mousing effect, which just sort of shows that, oh, there's something else down there maybe, so you can sort of scroll down and see the sort of collection. It's given some sort of words that sort of describe the brand, if you like. So it's fresh, it's local, and it's urban. So it's got some urban vibes to it, which I do sort of quite like. And it's done a lot of this. It's done all of this stuff without me actually prompting it to do that. All I've gone in is I've gone in and said, build me a website for my local business, which is a boutique clothing store. Ask me any questions before starting. So it's then come back, asked me those questions, and then it's produced this. Now, if we click on the visit our store sort of button down there, it then gives you, a location, so where the address is. It gives us a contact details, so a phone or an email address. It's then given us store hours, what times we're open. So all of these, we know it's just put in some dummy sort of data, but in effect, you could then start to change it and build it out in terms of it. I do quite like urbanwillow.com actually. So I may actually go and see if that's available and register that for something in the future maybe. And interestingly enough, what I have found by using a lot of these types of tools is that it really can come up with some really good ideas and really great sort of names for businesses and ideas. And this is one of the big things when it comes to using AI tools. But as a starting point, this has given us a really good sort of starting point. Now, one thing to note is that this is built within the Bolt tool, but it's not actually on the internet yet. So people can't go and visit this on the internet. They can't type in urbanwillow.com and go and do that. So we wouldn't have to publish that, and we do that by, there's a button at the top right here. If we click on, if I just move the recording stuff down here, if I click on publish, you can see here it says sort of, running security scans. It just says app is not published yet. Now it refers to this as an app, although it's a website, and then you would just click publish. Now we're not going to do that, and the reason we're not going to do that is that if we publish it, then every time we make any changes, what happens is it sort of rewrites everything. It doesn't change the look and feel, but it rewrites everything. And when it rewrites the whole website every time you publish, it takes up loads and loads of tokens. Now, down the bottom here, you can see it's currently showing 19.4 million monthly tokens remaining. Now that's because I have a paid for account. Now, since I sort of started doing this, it actually started on, I think it was 19.6 from recollection, and we're down to 19.4 tokens remaining. Now, if you recall at the start, I said that you got 300 daily token usage, 300k daily token usage. So we would have already used 200k of that 300k getting to this point. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got a great looking site, but there's a lot of changes we need to make to get it to where we need. And interestingly enough, I forgot to say, I didn't show the bottom piece here. So down the footer, this is the footer of your website, and we've got sort of, it's put in some social media links, and they actually just go to the home pages for Instagram, for Facebook, and for Twitter. So you can obviously change that for ones that you do use, assuming you are using some form of social media. If you're not using social media these days, then you're missing out on, in effect, free traffic for your site and potentially for your store. And if you have a local store, one of the social media providers I would definitely suggest you use is Facebook. Now, Facebook actually owns Instagram, so it would make sense for you to use Facebook and Instagram as a local store, because Facebook really can target local people. You know, all of your social media and any ads that you run in Facebook, for example, you can tailor them to be for people in your local area specifically, and between certain age ranges and things like that. So Facebook and Instagram for a local business is massive, and is definitely something that I would recommend for people to use if they are going to start using social media, and absolutely should be, really. You'll also notice down the bottom it's just put a copyright sign there, so copyright 2025 Urban Willow, all rights reserved. It's also got little quick links to the collection, which if we click on the collection takes us back up to there. So what we've got here is a really sort of quite a nicely laid out sort of store, really sort of simple. Now, how do we go about making some changes? So I quite like the look and feel here. Now, what we could do is perhaps this icon's a bit sort of, I don't know, it's a little bit sort of basic and standard. So what we could do is we can go back and use either ChatGPT to create us a logo. But what we want to do, we want to make sure we've got the same sort of colours in the logo as we've got on here, so it sort of matches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a little snipping tool here, and I'm just going to click on new, and I'm just going to copy this here, and I'm going to go to edit and copy. Anybody who's on Windows machine, if you there's a thing called a snipping tool. You can just type it in and search for it on your PC, and it allows you to, in effect, copy anything that's on your screen and take screenshots, which is really useful if you're doing anything like this, obviously. So I'm just going to sort of copy that. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, create me a logo for my local street gear store. It needs to be clean and simple, and use the colours in the attached image. So I then just paste that image in there, and let's just see what it gives us. We're going to show you another way to do this and create your own logo as well, which is another way of doing it. Now, with this, as you can sort of see here, now this is using the free account within ChatGPT, so it just shows the sort of capability of a free account. In effect, it can do so much for you, and it's really a good way of getting ideas and brainstorming. I've used this several times before for a lot of the icons and some of the images that I've wanted to use on some of the other websites that I've built before. I've created mascots for a lot of the sort of business ideas that I've had, and well, perhaps in another video maybe go through some of the different things that I've done over the years, really, so you can see how powerful AI is when it comes to sort of creating things like this. What we might actually do is also perhaps create a little mascot for our business as well, but for the moment we'll stick with this. Now, whilst that's a way of doing that, we can leave it to go and do that. But I want to just go to another site really, and this site is called Canva.com. Now, Canva.com is a great tool for creating images, creating documents, creating logos, doing all sorts of different things, and it's a great tool to use for lots of creative sort of stuff that you want to do. Now, what I've done here is I've actually registered here. This is again a free account that you can use to create various different pieces of media for your business, really. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a logo using this. Now, at the moment, there you go, it's just come up there. So it's just gone back to ChatGPT, and what you can see here is that it's obviously created, you know, it's an okay logo ultimately. I would perhaps want to maybe, I don't know, move the hat down a little bit and sort of put it sort of so it's over the edge sort of thing. So I'm just going to prompt it to say, can you move the baseball cap so it is hanging off the N in urban. So let's just and reduce the size a little bit. So again, that's going to go off and it's going to start to sort of think about what it's doing there. So if we then go back to Canva, so let's create a logo within Canva, trying to give you some different options to do things. Again, using free accounts. So it's really important to say that as local businesses, you know, we don't want to be spending hundreds and thousands on creating stuff. We want to be able to do things easily and at a low cost. So let's just go and click on, so it gives you some options across the top here. It gives you, there's a logo option here. So if we're going to say we're going to create a logo, so it then comes up and it gives you some sort of different sort of options and some different things in here. And there's hundreds and thousands of different sort of designs. Now, actually, strange enough, I saw a street one there. Now, given we're doing street gear for the local business, that might be something we want to use. And these are just obviously just different ideas and examples. If you've got a particular idea yourself, then clearly you can sort of do that. So let's just pick one that's going to perhaps look quite sort of cool. Let's go with street. Let's try that one because there's street gear, and so that sort of sits in with the theme. Okay, so it comes up, just shows you that, and then we just say, yeah, let's just use this template. Now, one of the challenges we've got here is because we're using these templates and we've got a free account, it does mean that you can sort of, you have to sort of upgrade to sort of use things. So I could do try it free for 30 days. So let's do that. It says that it's a monthly thing, and it will then give you the option to sort of to go forward. I don't think we're going to do this. I don't really want to be paying out for anything, so we'll forget that for the time being. But what we can do, and again, just another sort of sort of cheat is what we could do is we can click on new and we can just copy that, just go edit and copy, and we could then go away. You can get lots of different ideas. In fact, actually, I've just seen this one here. Let's look at that one. Actually, I quite like that one. Let's just copy that. Okay, so let's go back to ChatGPT again. Yeah, so this is one of the sort of downsides, I suppose, of things like ChatGPT. It has made the cap a little bit smaller, but it's not really sort of hanging off the N. So if you then sort of say to it, in fact, one of the great ways of doing this is to, so if you actually right click on this and just do, in fact, if you click on it, it then comes up as an image like that. You can then click on copy image, so right click and copy image. Then what you can do is if you load a new chat, so if I click on new chat up the top here, again, this is within ChatGPT free version. Okay, I'm just going to paste this into there. So you can either do Control V or right click and paste. And then can you change the attached logo so the baseball cap is hanging off the U in urban. Let's just do that and see what that gives us. It'll be interesting to sort of see how it sort of does this. But going through this, I mean, what we're in about sort of 40 minutes or so in terms of, probably only about 35 minutes in terms of sort of building this out. But what's really important to sort of note is we've already got a pretty cool looking sort of site. It's quite minimalist. We need to make some changes here. So whilst ChatGPT is going away and redoing that logo, let's go back in and just make some changes to this sort of site here. So what we're going to say is let's change the, so say replace the image for, what's it called, for classic cap to be a baseball cap. So if we then hit return on that, it will then go away and it will hopefully pick up the fact that we're saying about this one, and it will replace that image. And this is one of the things with sort of AI. It will go away, it will read what you've asked it to do, and then it will try to make the most appropriate update as it can do. And it says, it's now said done. I've updated the classic cap image to show a baseball cap. So once it refreshes, it says it's now building the project. It says build successful. It's now refreshing. It's now come up. If we go back down to view collection, now it'd be interesting to see if it's changed it. See, it's put a cap in it, but it's put in a boating type cap. So again, it hasn't sort of done it. Now, one way around that is that what you can do is, clearly, obviously, if you've got your own store, you're going to have images of baseball caps that you can use for this. But one thing that you can do is if you just do a search for baseball caps streetwear, say for example, men's baseball cap streetwear. This is just so we've got some sort of stuff in here. So we've got, what's this? This is on Shane. So what we could do is we could literally take a copy of that image. We could just say that's a cool baseball cap. May not think it is, but we'll just put that one in. So what we could do is just, and this is just for the purposes of obviously sort of doing this, to be honest. So I'm going to use the snipping tool again, and copy that. So I'm going to say replace the classic cap image with the attached. And I'm just going to copy that into there, paste it into there. And one tip for when you're using any AI tools really is it works better if you can just give it one thing to do each time. So if you're going to replace, you need to replace a load of images, replace each image one at a time. So for here, we're going to create that. Now, we said about the hallucinations, and clearly, you know, this wasn't an hallucination because it didn't put in a baseball cap, it just put in a boating cap. So, or a sun hat. So you need to be mindful of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and change that. Hopefully this will now update with the image that we've given it. So it's refreshed. If we go down the bottom and it's put that image in there, and that looks pretty cool, I think. So if we actually went through and changed something else, so let's replace this one and put some people wearing hoodies. So let's go back to just so we can get some images really. So people wearing cool hoodies in a group. Now we're using this just because it's just going to be sort of quite sort of easy. So so there we go. That's quite a sort of jazzy one, I suppose. Again, it depends on sort of what market you're targeting, I suppose, ultimately. That one's got a license on it. So, you know, obviously if this was a proper business, we wouldn't be using these images. It would be very much, you know, we'd be using our own images, so that these would have copyright. But just for the purposes of sort of showing this, this is comes from it's an image from someone called FreePic, which, you know, they've clearly got loads of images and things that you can use. So maybe worth sort of visiting there. So if I just copy that, go back to Bolt and say replace the hoodies. So they call it, so that's urban hoodie. Yeah, so we're going to replace the urban hoodie image. Urban hoodies image with the attached, and I'm just going to paste that in again. We'll make this the last one so that you can just sort of see, but hopefully this gives you an idea of sort of the power of using a tool like Bolt to actually build your website. You know, we've probably sort of been a bit back and forth, and if I sort of got my head down and just went through and changed this, I'd probably have the majority of this finished by now in terms of updating everything, because obviously when we look down the bottom, we've got store location. We need to update the address, update the contact details. Now we've got a form in here. So that's just added in that image there. You can also see it's done a little bit of a zoom in sort of on them as well, which is sort of quite quite sort of cool. We're not going to go and change all of these, but one thing I did sort of notice is that we've actually got a form in here, obviously. Now, at the moment, if you go and click in here and fill out your details and that, it won't actually send it anywhere. But what you can ask it to do is to create the form so that when people fill out the form, it opens their email client, and then they can then send the message to you to whatever email address you want it to be sent to. So that's quite cool, and it will just populate all of the information. So we won't do that for this particular video. We can do that in sort of like a part 2 really. But before we sort of finish, I just wanted to sort of really give people a view of basically how to set up your sort of local website. Now, the initial bit we got was done really quickly. Last thing, I just forgot about the logo. So don't know which is best. I actually think this one's probably better. Yeah, so let's just copy this. So I've just opened it up, copy that image, go into here. I do sort of quite like, I like the lettering and stuff on here. So maybe instead of doing that, could we, let's just do something a little bit different. Just go back to, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this here. Now, one of the things you can do with the free version of Canva, and I know we sort of went to this, I wanted to try and keep the cost down, so I didn't want to have to upgrade anything, because again, as we say, as the local business, we sort of we need to be watching the pennies. So if I go back and just do create up the top there, create a logo. I'm just going to do just a blank logo. So what it does, if you click on just a blank logo, it automatically comes up with, in effect, a sort of white square, which is 500 pixels by 500 pixels. Don't worry about that. Then if I right click on here and click in paste, so it's now added in the image that we had from ChatGPT. So now what I'm going to do is, it's got a great little tool here which is called background remover. Now I've got a funny feeling that you have to pay to use this, so we will, if that's the case, then we'll forget this. Does it do it? Yes, it does. So you've got to sign up for a free trial. We're not going to do that because we want to do it for free. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take that, or in fact we've already copied that anyhow. So we've already copied that logo anyhow. And what we're going to do is go back to Bolt, and we're going to say place the icon above Urban Willow name with the attached. Going to paste that in there. Let's copy it again. Copy. Paste. Just added it in there. So it's going away, having a think. So whilst it's doing this, I think we've sort of probably got to the point now where we've got our website pretty much where we want it. We know there's some tweaks. Perhaps in the next part, what we'll do is we'll cover off and sort of get it a little bit more tweaked. So I think we'll probably call this the first one. Yeah, so this is one of the sort of challenges that we've got with this, is where if we're not going to be able to use some of those other tools because we want to do the free version, it does mean that some of these sorts of things might not sort of quite work so well. One last thing that we will try, let's just see. If I go back into and just do a new logo. So again, start again with the logo. In fact, rather than start with the fresh one, let's go back to this one. Let's just delete that out of there. And if you go down to the left, there's things called elements within Canva. So you can click in there and you can literally type in what you want. So if I say baseball cap blue icon, it then comes up with a whole load of different sort of things in here. So some of these, you'll see anything that has a crown on it means that, you know, you can't actually sort of use that one there. So let's, I'll tell you what, just had a really great idea. So we're just gonna leave that. And actually, if you go to a thing called, it's called remove.bg. Now this is a free way of removing backgrounds from images. So in effect, what I can do, I can click on here and I can upload an image. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to take the image that we copied before. I'm actually just going to file and save that. I'm going to save it into, let's just do it into downloads. So I'll just put baseball cap. Okay. So then if I go to upload image, if I go to my downloads, we've got baseball cap there. And what it does, it actually removes the background, which is just a brilliant idea. If you then go to download, and it gives you like it's not an overly, what's the word? It's not a high resolution image, but it'll do just for the purposes of this. So if you download this, and what this will do, it will download a what it calls an image with a transparent background. Again, we don't want to get too sort of technical, but in effect what that does is basically remove the background, so whenever you put this onto anything, it doesn't show the background, it just shows the main image. So we're going to go back into here and we're going to say replace the icon with the attached, and we think of this as being sort of the logo icon. So if I then paste that in there, oh actually I need to upload it, so let's attach the file, go to downloads, remove preview. Okay, it's then loaded the image. I hit enter. Now the more and more you do a lot of this sort of stuff with these tools like Bolt, the more you'll just get really used to just doing different things. Now for the purposes of the video, I've tried to keep the costs basically at free in order to sort of do it. But even if you had to pay, I don't know, $25, maybe $30 for a couple of tools to use sort of there and then, really you're getting something for your business that's going to look pretty cool. As you can see, sort of the image has come out a little bit better there. It's a little bit small, so make the icon a bit larger. and again it will go away and it will just increase the size. It may not do it the size we want, but again, this is where just sort of the playing around with it sort of works. Okay, so it's made a bit larger, which is fine. The last thing I'm going to do is reduce the gap between the icon and the shop name. Now maybe in another video we'll go through and we'll sort of go into a little bit more detail around creating the logo. Maybe might be something else to do. But what we've got here, once this is sort of done, you know, we've in effect created a complete website that is not published yet, so it's not actually on the web. So we'll do that and make that the last thing we do sort of today. Okay, so that's down a little bit closer. We could get it a little bit lower, but for the purposes of time, I'm not going to sort of do that today. But then we're just going to go and get this published so actually you can visit it and see it online. So if I click on publish up the top here, then just run some sort of checks, then click on publish. It will then go away and actually publishes it and puts it onto the web, onto the internet. And it will give it a weird sort of address for it. So we'll see that once that's done. But hopefully that's given you a really good insight into how you can build a website really quite easily for your local business, your local store. Now this was obviously quite a random one, but you know, you could do it for your particular domain, for your particular store. And obviously, if you're building for your own store, you will have a lot of the things already. You'll potentially already have a logo for your store. You'll probably potentially have a custom domain. So what you can see here, it's actually put in a website address. I'm just going to copy that address, but you can literally click on it, and what it will do, it'll open up a new tab, and you'll then be able to see your website in sort of full flow, which I think looks pretty cool. We know there's bits to be done here, but it's a real simple basic website, but it looks pretty modern, pretty cool. I would definitely want to make some changes to it, but it just gives you an idea. It's got buttons on here which work. You can go and view the collection, find our store, you know, and then these buttons will typically just open up to whatever social media you're sort of connecting to. And it gives you a sort of a good idea. So if you do want to sort of visit it and just sort of see what it's like, I will, what I will do is I will post the website address in the chat so you can see it and see how it sort of works. And that's it. That's your website all built, honky-dory, for our local boutique, which is going to do street gear in effect with our strapline Gear Up Stand Out. Thanks for watching. As always with any of these things, there's always the usual sort of social media sort of stuff, you know, post a like. If there's anything you want to particularly sort of see explained, how to use any of these tools, any of these AI tools, then put a comment in. If there's something you want to know how to do, then post it in the comments. We're probably going to look to do a part 2 for this, where we can maybe take this to the next level in terms of, you know, a bit more interaction with your customers and forms and things like that. But if there's anything else you want to see, then by all means do post in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up later.